Welcome to EdgeConnect Wi-Fi Podcast. Today we are going deep on OpenWiFi. It's pretty revolutionary when it comes to wireless networking.
Yeah.
Give you so much more control and flexibility, which, I mean, who doesn't want that, right?
Exactly. Especially in today's world where everything changes so fast.
Right, exactly.
And it's really interesting. We're seeing a big showing in the industry. Even the major players, the ones who've been doing managed Wi-Fi services for forever, they're moving away from that traditional Wi-Fi, and they're embracing open Wi-Fi.
Wow. So who are we talking about here?
Oh, the hotels, student dorms, all those multi-dwelling unit MDU complexes you see everywhere, public Wi-Fi in airports and stadiums.
It's like everyone is waking up to open source.
Yeah, it really is.
But why, though? What's the big advantage of open Wi-Fi?
I think it comes down to control. You have more control over your network. You have more control over your costs. And ultimately, you have way more control over your future. Because with open Wi-Fi, you're not locked into those proprietary systems anymore.
Yeah, those can be a real pain.
Right, so you can choose the best components from different vendors. You can avoid all those crazy licensing fees. And most importantly, you can adapt super quickly to whatever the market throws at you.
So better performance.
Mm-hmm.
And a better return on investment.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. But I imagine it can be a bit overwhelming for some people.
Yeah.
Where do you even begin with open Wi-Fi?
Yeah, it's a whole new world. That's why we're going to break it down into 4 smart tips for investing in open Wi-Fi.
Okay, I like it.
These tips will not only help you plan your network, but they'll also give you the knowledge you need to explain it to other people, like stakeholders, so you can get everyone on board.
All right, let's do it.
So tip number 1 is navigate the ecosystem.
I have a feeling it's a lot more than just picking the right software, huh?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Open Wi-Fi is about the whole ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
The hardware, the controllers, the providers, the partners, the whole thing. And understanding how all those pieces fit together is absolutely crucial for making smart decisions, the kind of decisions that give you a real competitive edge.
Okay, can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say you're setting up a network for a multi-dwelling unit MDU complex. You got to think about how many units there are, how much bandwidth everyone's going to be using, what kind of security you need, and of course, your budget. So by understanding that open Wi-Fi ecosystem, you can choose the hardware that fits your needs perfectly. You can make sure those controllers are running at peak performance. And you can find providers who actually get your vision,
Okay, that makes sense. And how do you find the right partners?
Well, that's a key part of navigating that ecosystem. You want to look for partners who offer a full package.
Okay.
So from APs to the open LAN switches to the controllers. I mean, EdgeConnect Wi-Fi is a really good example because they offer that full stack solution.
Oh,
and they really understand the ins and outs of open Wi-Fi. So they can guide you through the whole process from the initial design all the way to deployment.
that sounds like a huge advantage.
It is, especially if you're just starting out with open Wi-Fi. Having that trusted partner who knows what they're doing can make all the difference.
Okay,
Good.
navigate the ecosystem check. What's the second tip?
Tip number 2 is flex your strategy.
Okay, now this is where that whole open source thing really comes in, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
Because open Wi-Fi is open source. You get a level of customization and agility that you just can't get with those closed systems. And in a fast-moving market like this one, that flexibility is super important.
But how does that flexibility actually translate to real benefits?
Well, think about it. You can react really quickly to any new market demands. Let's say a new technology comes along, and it's way better for Wi-Fi performance. If you're stuck with a closed system, you might have to wait forever for your vendor to update their stuff. Or even worse, you might have to replace your entire system.
Ugh, yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
But with open Wi-Fi, you can just integrate that new tech on your own terms, so you stay ahead of the game, and your investment doesn't become obsolete after a year.
Okay, so it's all about future-proofing.
Exactly. And it's not just about new technologies either. You can experiment and optimize your network whenever you want. You can scale up or down super easily. You can adjust your whole deployment strategy as your needs change. And you can choose the partners that make the most sense for each project.
So it's like having a Wi-Fi network that can evolve with your business.
Exactly.
Which is super important these days.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of evolving,
EdgeConnect Wi-Fi offers a whole range of open Wi-Fi AP solutions. They have Wi-Fi 5, 6, and 7 options. They have indoor and outdoor models. And they have over 20 models across 6 open LAN switch series, which is super helpful for those multi-dwelling unit MDU setups.
oh yeah, that's right.
So they've pretty much got you covered no matter what you need.
I love that. 2 tips down, 2 to go.
All right. Tip number 3 is innovate from wins.
Ooh. I like that. Tell me more.
So there are all these open Wi-Fi success stories out there. Like, people have done amazing things with it. And those stories are packed with valuable lessons. So don't reinvent the wheel. Learn from what others have done.
So it's like looking at real-world examples.
Exactly. These case studies can show you the best practices for setting up and managing your network. You can discover totally new ways to use open Wi-Fi. You can find creative solutions to those common challenges. And you can see how different industries are using it to achieve their goals. And you can learn how to integrate it with the systems you already have.
So it's like a blueprint for open Wi-Fi success.
Exactly. And you know who's been involved in a ton of these open Wi-Fi deployments?
Ooh.
EdgeConnect Wi-Fi. They have so much experience, and they're more than happy to share what they've learned.
That's awesome. So they're not just a vendor. They're a valuable resource.
Right.
Okay, we've talked about navigating the ecosystem, staying flexible, learning from others. What's that last tip?
Tip number 4 is friends with gurus.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. Is this about tapping into the open Wi-Fi community?
You got it. The open Wi-Fi community is full of passionate people, like experts, tech enthusiasts, innovators, all these people who are pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And connecting with this community is huge. It's like having a direct line to all the latest trends and the best practices and the expert insights.
So where do you even begin connecting with these people?
Oh, there are tons of ways, like online forums, developer communities, industry events. You can even just reach out to people who are already using open Wi-Fi.
Okay, cool.
And the benefits are huge. You can stay up to date on everything that's happening in the world of open Wi-Fi. You can get advice from people who've been there and done that. You can learn the best practices for security and management and deployment. And you might even find opportunities to collaborate with other companies.
It's like a support system for your network.
Yeah, exactly. And EdgeConnect Wi-Fi is a big part of this community, too. They've been contributing to open Wi-Fi development for years. They work really closely with the developer community. And they even have a dedicated team called the Oxherd team.
The Oxford team.
Yeah, they're like open Wi-Fi gurus.
Right.
They can help you with literally everything, from like adopting open Wi-Fi for the first time to configuring specific features on your APs. They can help you with architecture, R&D, quality assurance, even ongoing support.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
It is. It's all about making open Wi-Fi accessible to everyone so that any business can take advantage of it.
Okay, I'm loving these tips. So we've got navigating the ecosystem, staying flexible, learning from those success stories, and connecting with the community. It seems like open Wi-Fi gives you control, flexibility, and support,
Yeah, it really does.
which is exactly what you need in today's world.
Absolutely.
This has been a fantastic deep dive into open Wi-Fi. We've covered so much,
Yeah,
but I know there's even more to explore. So I'm really excited to see where this conversation takes us next.
me too. You know, one thing we haven't really talked about is cost. And I think a lot of people assume that when you adopt like a new technology, it's going to be expensive, you know?
I can see that.
But with open Wi-Fi, it's actually the opposite.
Really? How does open Wi-Fi help you save money?
Well, first of all, you're not stuck buying everything from one vendor. You can shop around, you can pick and choose components from different places, and you can often find much better deals without having to compromise on quality.
Oh, that's cool.
Plus, you don't have those recurring licensing fees, which can really add up with those proprietary systems.
Yeah, for sure. So are you saying I could actually build a high-performing network for less money than I would with like a traditional closed system?
Exactly. You get to compare prices, you get to find the best fit for your budget. But you might be thinking, what about support? Like, what happens if something goes wrong when you're using all these different components from different vendors?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, that's where that awesome open Wi-Fi community comes in. Remember all those friends with gurus?
Right.
There is so much knowledge and support online. You've got forums, you've got documentation. You can even get direct help from experts.
So it's like having a global network of tech support.
Exactly. And they're all passionate about open Wi-Fi.
That's really cool.
And if you need a little more hands-on guidance, you can always work with a company like EdgeConnect Wi-Fi. Their Oxherd team specializes in supporting businesses like yours through that entire open Wi-Fi journey. So from the initial design and deployment all the way to ongoing management and troubleshooting.
So you're never really alone.
Nope.
You can tap into the community or you can partner with someone like EdgeConnect Wi-Fi. There's a whole ecosystem of support.
Exactly.
So it's not really a risky investment. It's actually a pretty smart move.
It is a smart move. And speaking of smart moves, let's talk about some real-world applications of open Wi-Fi.
Okay, let's get practical.
So we mentioned hotels earlier. They're using open Wi-Fi to provide like that seamless guest Wi-Fi. They can manage bandwidth more effectively. And they can even personalize the guest experience.
So things like targeted promotions based on what guests like, or maybe offering in-room entertainment options.
Exactly. It's about making the guests happy and making more money. And then you've got student housing. Universities are using open Wi-Fi to give students reliable, high-speed internet. They can manage network security, and they can even track usage patterns, so they can optimize their infrastructure.
I can imagine how important reliable Wi-Fi is for students these days.
It's essential. And it's not just about keeping the students happy, it's about creating a learning environment where everyone has access to the resources they need.
Right.
And of course, we can't forget about those multi-dwelling unit MDU complexes.
Ooh, those are getting so popular.
So imagine, instead of having a separate internet provider for each unit, you have one unified network for the whole building, powered by open Wi-Fi. So residents don't have to mess around with setting up individual accounts with different providers, and property managers have more control over the network.
That makes so much sense.
They can manage bandwidth, they can enforce security policies, they can even offer building-wide services like announcements or package delivery notifications.
So it's a win-win for everyone.
It is.
More convenience, better control, and probably even some cost savings.
Exactly. And open Wi-Fi isn't just for private networks either. Public Wi-Fi is another area where it's really taking off.
So we're talking like cities, airports, stadiums, shopping malls.
All of them. They're using it to offer free or low-cost internet access to everyone. But of course, with public Wi-Fi, security is always a big concern.
Right, you don't want to sacrifice security for connectivity.
Exactly. And that's the great thing about open Wi-Fi. It actually gives network administrators more tools and more flexibility to manage security.
Compared to like traditional systems.
Right.
So they can implement stronger authentication, they can monitor network traffic for anything suspicious, and they can respond quickly to any potential threats.
Exactly. And because it's open source, they're not limited to just one vendor's security solutions.
Oh, that's cool.
They can mix and match components to create a really strong security strategy.
It sounds like open Wi-Fi lets you build a network that really meets your specific needs.
It does.
Whether you're a hotel, a university, a property manager, or even a city government, you have the flexibility to tailor your network to do what you need it to do.
It's not one size fits all. It's a framework. And you can create a network that matches your vision.
That's great. And with a supportive community. And companies like EdgeConnect Wi-Fi who are pushing the boundaries of this technology, the possibilities are pretty exciting.
They are.
We've talked a lot about the present. But what about the future? How does open Wi-Fi make sure that your investment stays relevant as technology keeps changing so fast?
That's where open Wi-Fi really shines, because technology is always changing. It's super important to invest in solutions that can adapt and grow with you, and open Wi-Fi does that.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me how open Wi-Fi future-proofs my network.
Well, it's open source, right? So you're not tied to one vendor's roadmap or product lifecycle. You have the freedom to choose the hardware and the software that works best for you today. And then as new technologies come out, you can easily upgrade or replace components.
So you're not stuck with outdated equipment that can't keep up.
Exactly. And here's the best part. Open Wi-Fi is constantly being developed and improved by a global community of engineers, so you're investing in a platform that's going to stay ahead of the curve. It's always evolving to embrace new technologies and standards.
That peace of mind is priceless. Nobody wants to feel like they're throwing money away on a system that's going to be obsolete in a few years.
Absolutely. And don't forget about the impact on innovation. Open Wi-Fi really fosters a culture of experimentation and collaboration, so you get faster development cycles and a much quicker adoption of new technologies.
So it's not just about keeping up with the trends, it's about being at the forefront of what's next. Open Wi-Fi is like a catalyst for innovation in wireless networking.
Exactly. And with companies like EdgeConnect Wi-Fi actively contributing to the open Wi-Fi ecosystem and pushing the boundaries of what's possible, the future of wireless networking is looking really bright.
It does. We've covered a lot of ground today. We talked about the benefits of open Wi-Fi, the importance of navigating the ecosystem, the power of the community, and some real-world examples of how it's being used to solve problems and create new opportunities. We even touched on the cost savings and how open Wi-Fi can future-proof your network.
It's all about giving you the tools and knowledge you need to make smart decisions about your wireless network and embrace a future of connectivity that's open, flexible, and tailored to your needs.
So if you're looking for a wireless networking solution that gives you more control, more flexibility, more cost savings, and a path to a future-ready network, open Wi-Fi is definitely worth checking out.
And remember, you don't have to do it alone. The open Wi-Fi community is there to support you every step of the way.
And for those who want a trusted partner with a proven track record, EdgeCore Wi-Fi is a fantastic resource.
Uh,
They've got those full-stack solutions, the expert consulting team, and they're committed to open-source innovation. It makes them a leader in the open Wi-Fi space.
so start exploring the world of open Wi-Fi today and discover the freedom and possibilities that are waiting for you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into open Wi-Fi. We hope you found it informative and inspiring. Until next time, stay connected.